Welcome back to Paging Polly. I'm Jules with Lunastico. If you've ever opened a writing app, much less Paging Polly, and stared at all the features and thought this looks powerful, but I don't even know where to start, this video is for you. I'm going to show you how to go from opening Paging Polly for the first time to actively writing your book in about 20 minutes. No complex setup, no learning every feature, no perfect outlining required. This is the minimum you need to start writing and nothing more. I built Paging Polly because I wanted a tool that helps you think while you write, not one that makes you feel like you need a certification to use it. So in this video, we're going to create a author profile, create a project, open a writing document, and start drafting. Even if you don't know your full plot yet, even if you don't know your characters, we're just going to get started with quick start prompts. If you can type, you can start. Let's go. So first thing is first, we are going to very quickly go over the license and the OpenRouter key, because you do need a AI key, either OpenRouter or OpenAI. And you do need a license to use the pro features, but you can use the quick start prompts and have one project in the free forever. So you don't necessarily need a license to follow this along with the free version of Paging Polly, but I'm going to go over that in case you already have a license. First thing is the license page right here. So if you did not have this, you are going to go to add license. This is going to pop up. And I have a image, here we go, of what that would look like. So this is a purchase receipt. So you go to the email that you used when you ordered from Lunastico. You will get a purchase receipt from no reply at lunastico.com, as you can see right here. And under license key, there will be a key right here, and you're going to copy and you are going to paste that right here and click activate. And then it will activate your subscription. It will show you how many days left if you have the trial. Perhaps you did a trial version of the Pro, and it will show you if that is expired or not, and it will show you how many activations you have left on your account. So that's really quick. And then for AI settings, the first time you are going to go into Paging Polly, you are going to set up an AI key. So this won't be here, but there will be a box to enter an API key. If you're on free forever, that means that you only have access to OpenRouter. If you are on Pro, you also have access to an OpenAI and an LM Studio option. But today we're just going to go over OpenRouter because that is a nice, easy setup. We are going to come here. This is OpenRouter. OpenRouter.ai is where you are going to go. You are going to set up an account and you are going to enter some credits. You can see I'm running low. I need to add more credits to this. But these credits last a very long time, as you can see here. Depending on how much you write, you can go a very long time in with just $20. So you're going to add some credits. You do need at least $5 in order to use OpenRouter, even if you plan on only using the free models. So you're going to do that. So you're going to load in some credits, and then you're going to go to keys, and then you're going to create an API key. So you're going to create that button. You're going to name it. So you'd probably name it Paging Polly. If you want to do a credit limit, you can do a credit limit. So maybe you only want to spend $20 every month. So you can do that. So you can set 20 monthly, no expiration. So if you wanted it to expire, it doesn't hurt to refresh your keys on a regular basis. I would say every month to 3 months, I would probably trade out keys just to stay on the safe side, because those keys, in case they got exposed or anything like that, it's just a good API hygiene, if you will. So that is something to keep in mind. If you wanted to expire it automatically, you could set 30 or 90 days so that it would expire automatically. But for this, we're just going to say no expiration. And then we are going to hit create. And you're going to see this key. This is the only time, as it says here, this is the only time you will see this key. So you're going to copy it. And then you are going to come back into Paging Polly and you are going to paste it here. And you're going to hit save API key. I'm not going to do that because I already have this key, and I'm actually going to burn that key really quickly. So if you want to know how to remove, delete, or disable a key, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to delete this key. And are you sure? Yes, I am. And boom, that key is gone. So if you ever need to delete, you can delete from there. You can also disable, which just temporarily disables that key. So if you just want to temporarily disable it, maybe you're not using it right now, you can do that right here. Okay, and then if you want to check models, you can check models from here, and you can see pricing. Pricing is also available in Paging Polly, so if you're ever wondering about price, you can see that in the AI settings model, which will be in a second. Okay, so we're going to come back over here. Again, I'm not going to save this because we already have a key in here. that I use. We're going to refresh the models. And you want to do a refresh, I would say at least once a week. I keep a really close eye on OpenRouter. OpenRouter will do new models. You just want to refresh. This is so that it's cached. And then you are going to be able to select your favorites, and you're going to be able to select your default model. So here under favorites, if we add more favorites, we can, let's see, what should we add? We'll add Gemma. So these are low cost or free models from Gemini. We'll just add that one. We'll mark it as free. You can also see that you can tag them for writing, analysis, dialogue, not safe for work, etc. And we can go ahead and put that there. And then that is here in our favorites. So you can see I already have quite a few favorites selected. These are the models that I use either for testing or for actually writing. And now we just get to hop back over to library. We are going to create an author profile. So we're going to call this Polypen. You can put in your genre, your bio, and social media links. This is mostly for the formatting features that are coming soon. And we're going to hit creating author. And then we're going to come back to library. We're going to hit new project. I'm just going to call this quick start project. And you do have to select an author. So I'm going to select an author. We're going to say that this is a novella. I'm not going to worry about genre. We're going to just say 20,000. Let's say it's a novella. Yes. And if you had a series, we can enter that in. I'm going to put 2 for chapters. This just creates your manuscript folder for you. And then for AI system prompt, we are going to do quick start. So this is a quick start system prompt for our quick start prompts. And you can go ahead and through and read this. It just has some anti-AI-isms, some behavior that we want, and some output expectations. You can insert a cover image. So you can see here we have some different cover images. And I can actually, let's grab, I have some defaults here. You can also do a drag and drop. So I can drag this and boom, we now have that in here. And create a .poly file. I highly suggest you leave this checked on. It will prompt you to where to save your .poly file. This is an extra backup feature that I definitely recommend you save. So then we're going to do create project. It's going to take a second. It's going to come up here. I'm going to just save this as quick start project in my documents, save. That's going to close, and now we can open. All right, now we're going to get into the fun stuff. Okay, so if this was not open, and we'll say this isn't open either. So let's just do a really quick rundown. These are your prompts. These are your sequences. Sequences are essentially automation. So think NAN in a writing software. So that's what is in sequences. We're not going to go into sequences today. We're going to just use prompts. So we can click prompts and this opens. Now we can have this. So it's just showing the titles, and these little numbers over here are the variables for each step. So this shows that it has one variable, and we'll go into that in a little bit. This allows you to see a preview of what it is saying inside of the prompt. This shows favorites within this category, and you can see that there are multiple categories. This is the classic mode, which means that you will get a preview of what it's trying to send through first. And then this is quick, which means it just sends straight through. You don't get to preview it, it just starts going. Okay, so you'll probably start here with the descriptions, and then you will move to here where you just need the titles and the quick mode. But we're going to be working in classic just so that we can see that. And we're going to be in the blueprint because we're not drafting yet. Okay, and we are going to select our model. So these are all of our favorites. So if I just hit this little down arrow, this gives me all of my favorites versus if I click here, this is the full model settings modal. And this will show my selected model. It will show my provider. So if I'm not on free, I have multiple providers I can choose from. This shows temperature, which I'm actually going to pop back to 7. Max output tokens, 8,000 is perfectly fine for what we're doing. This says show model details in the editor tool button. So if we turn this off and save, it will just show the model. But if we have this on, it will show max tokens and our temperature as well, which I like personally. You can hit favorites or you can hit all. So this is favorites. And then by default, you will have access to all. And this is what I was talking about, is the pricing is in the modal, because I got so frustrating in AI writing software where I was like, oh, I want to play with this new model that just popped out, but I don't know how expensive it is. And now I have to go to OpenRouter and check how much it is and how big the context window is. You don't need to do that in Paging Poly. This first number here is the context limit. So that's how many tokens you can send through. That is the context limit that it will branch off, that it will cut off at. The input tokens, this is input per million tokens, and this is output per million tokens. So the pricing is right here. So what we are going to do, we are going to use Grok 4.1 Fast to plan, and then we are going to switch to maybe GPT-5 to actually write, or we might switch to Haiku just for the testing purposes. Now, personally, I usually use 4.1 Fast or Gemini Pro for planning. I do want to go into that Gemini does use Synth ID watermarking. It's usually fine for planning and editing. I do not use pros with Gemini 3 for that reason. I'll do a whole video about Synth ID, but just a little word to the wise, I never draft with a Gemini model ever. But I usually will use either AI on or Grok or Sonnet to draft. You could also use Opus 4.5 to draft. He is a good drafter, but he is much more expensive, as you can see, in $5 out 25. Okay, so okay, we have 4.1 Fast, so we're going to use that. Also, a little quick word to the wise as well. Haiku 4.5 is very wordy. I do not use Haiku for planning because he loves to go long. Sonnet can sometimes do that, but Haiku does worse. So we're going to save. So what we need for this is if we open here, so we have words before, it has a little warning icon, and that's because we don't have any words yet. But this gives you an idea of what you actually need to do for words before. So using the provided story seed, genre, and comparable authors and books, generate 3 distinct story ideas that fit the genre and tonal expectations suggested by the comps. Each idea must be framed around a moment of applied pressure, not a premise summary. So this is using a little bit of our book physics here. And we are going to enter here. So we're going to go back to prompts because the words before weren't entered in Classic. If you enter something in here and you're in Classic mode, go back before going forward. So go back to your main prompts before hitting generate. So we are going to, that was that key that we burned. Okay. Monster romance between mermaid and a sailor. Okay, so we're going to do monster romance between mermaid and sailor, paranormal romance novella. Here are some paranormal romance / urban fantasy authors for comps, and we are going to go to 1, and we are going to go ahead and execute. Okay, so we're going to go through the ideas really quickly. Okay, so I really like story idea C, so we're going to go with that. So one of the nice things in Paging Poly is I can just remove the ones that we're not going to keep. And then we've got some questions to answer here. So let's see. What heat level? Simmering tension, explicit urgency. We are going with level 4 spice. So pretty hot and heavy. How dark should the mermaid's monstrous traits be? Seductive peril or tragic vulnerabilities? I like seductive peril. All right, seductive peril. Do you want the sailor's world to dominate early pressure or blend it equally? Blend. Okay. Obviously, I would give more detailed answers if we were going into a deeper thing, but this whole point is to just get started. So we're just going to get started. So we are going to remove C because we are sticking with that story idea. We are going to add a couple new lines because that just makes it easier. And we're going to do character emergence next. So we are going to stick with Grok 4.1 Fast. We're going to hit this. We're going to go and execute. And you can also read these full prompts in the prompt library, which I'll do a little preview of here in a second. A word to the wise, you're probably going to change all of the character names because AI is terrible at naming things, so we're going to approve. All right, so we've got characters Nora Keene. Reclaim her ship and chart her own course free from any anchor, human, or mer. Was it her ship? Oh, sailor, Nora Keene. Okay. Oh, okay, so he's the mermaid. So he's a merman. Okay. You can see how quickly I read that. Okay. Nora Keene, reclaim her ship, chart her own course, internal resistance. The pull of Thorn's touch ignites a hunger she can't navigate away from. Boundaries she does not want crossed. How she naturally creates or absorbs pressure. All right, cool. So we're just going to leave the names because, again, this is a quick start. But we have characters. We have an idea. We are going to go to story base and chapter 1 plan. So this is going to plan chapter 1 for us with some scenes, as well as give the general story base. So that's going to give us the kind of lock in the physics and the genre of what we're working on. Seductive peril romance, where a lone sailor's deviant navigation collides with a merman's curse, driven hunger, forcing an enchanted wrist-bind quest for a surface relic amid escalating monstrous shifts, and level 4 intimate bonds that blur possession with surrender. So we've got the hull breach. And you'll see that there's physics in here. This is because this would work with the chart. So we're going to give you a quick preview of that. Okay, approve. So we don't need this reference spot. Inertia, no intensity, bind pulse, relic unclaimed. Okay, so we're just going to look at the chapter arc here. Thrust Nora into immediate peril with Thorn's breach of her ship, blending her surface navigation with abysmal claim to anchor romantic and quest tensions. Okay. Chapter physics. Great. So again, I would read through all of this and make sure this is actually what I want. But for the purposes of this, really quickly, I'm going to go over one other thing. So if I wanted to maybe talk about something with this, maybe I want to talk about something that happens in scene 3, I would ask my question here, just like a chat. So if you wanted to chat within a window, actually, let me open a note. This would be a good time. Okay. So what we're going to do, so we have our chapter, and I believe let me just double check that it has the outline. Yes. Okay. One thing I want to really show is table of contents goes by headers so that you can bounce around long documents. Blueprints tend to be quite long, so this can jump from ideas, characters, story base, and outline. The other thing is we have the blueprint parser. Okay, so we are going to break this into beautiful sections. So we have 21 sections. It's going to create us 4 folders, and it's going to create us 5 files. If we want to see those files, we can see them here. We have 2 characters, 1 idea, 1 note, which is the story promise, and then we have 1 outline. So we're going to create those 5 documents. Bang, done. So now I have a blueprint folder. I'm going to drop this blueprint in here. And now we have, oops, actually we didn't go in there. Oops. Oh, there we go. You have to drag it over to the icon of the folder to drop it inside so that you can reorder outside of folders. So you just drag to the little icons over here so to go inside. Okay, so now we have ideas, we have characters, we have story base, and we have outline. Why do we want these separate? It's because then we can have active documents like this, and we can turn those on and off, and we can turn the outline on and off. And this gives us control over the context. This is something that the chat windows cannot offer. I can control when I send what and where. Story promise. This is just a really quick little story promise. So I definitely want that turned on. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to say that this is for drafting. And this is going to give us access so that I don't have to remember what is for drafting and what's for blueprinting. So if you bounce between planning, editing, and drafting like I do, you don't need to worry about what you had as an quote unquote active document when and where. So I'm going to also grab these 2 and I'm going to do those 2 drafting as well. And we're not going to have outline on, and I'll show you why in a second. We're not going to have story idea, and we don't want the blueprint on. Okay, so then we're going to have an outline. I'm going to close this really quick. So you are going to see some icons up here. This is the corkboard. So you can see these have scenes and chapters as separate corks, little, what's the word? Cards. There we go. And then you can also do this as a list, which shows you this way. So these are the corkboards. We also have charts. So now we're not going to see very much, but we are going to see some things of little dots here. So we are going to see, so this is the current spread. But if we had more than one chapter, what you're going to see is you're going to see a progression of where the tension starts and where it comes down and where it goes up. And we're going to see that across all of our 4 plot threads here. And this shows plot threads start and finish per chapter. So obviously we only have 1 chapter, but that is what those numbers do for us. Boop. And we come back out because I clicked the wrong thing. And if you click again, it goes back to the main one. Now what this is also doing is if we come into manuscript and I go to chapter 1, you'll see 1 of 4 sections is available. And that is the chapter outline is available, which means when I'm drafting, that chapter outline is now a variable. So if we come to prompt library, we're going to hit later on that. Quick start. So if you look at the draft chapter, and this is, you can get the prompt library from right here, or you can go Control P and that'll open the prompt library, FYI. And then if we click the little pencil, I can now edit this and I can also read the full prompt. So if I come through here, this is the full prompt. And you will see here, using the provided context tags drafting. So those are the quote unquote active documents for drafting, and the chapter plan, which is chapter outline. And I have access to that because I formatted it with the particular format of the outlines. And then you can also select where, if you want that associated with a category. So we're going to come back over here and really quickly, we're going to show you the chat feature. So if I'm just going to type in a general idea. So maybe I want, can you give me 10 female names common during Victorian pirate times? Okay. And we are going to go to prompts again. And now we're going to go to general, all categories. We're going to go. And I'm going to switch to fast mode now. So we're going to go. And it's going to give me 10 names. And then I could ask for surnames. How about surnames? Nothing. Celtic. Same time period. And I hit go again. And it's going to give me 10 of those. Or some of those, because I didn't specify 10 again. Yep. All right, and it's now going to give me 10 of those. So this is how you chat in Poly. So that was just a really quick thing. This is, and we can rename here, names. And so I could switch to the main character being Charlotte O'Brien, for instance, right? Because these would be really good alternative names. This is actually pretty close to how I usually will use AI to come up with better names than what it comes up with. So that's how you chat, is you use go. You just type whatever your question would be in the chat, and then you hit go. We do also have in Polydo, we have Planner Chat. Planner Chat obviously looks more like a traditional chat interface. And when you're done, we can come here and we can send this to Paging Poly. And I can say research. And I can select my project and I can export. And now if I come back to my quick start, you can see I have a research. And it will show me, you, and then Poly, which is the persona that I was using in Poly2 for this particular test. So you can chat more traditionally in the AI planner now, if that's something you would like to do. So let's go through the last of our quick start prompts. We're going to back over here to the quick start. So we've done step 1 through 3. So we're going to go into step 4. This will show you what we've got. So we've got 2 variables. We've got tag drafting, which are these green items right here. We've got the chapter outline. Everything is good because we've got the little check marks. And if you want to see resolved, we'll show you the resolved, and final will show you the specific details. And similarly, final, we've got that. And we've got also a little preview here with the different files. Okay, so we've got here, and oh, we want to switch to a drafting model. I'm just going to use ChatGPT 5, and we're going to execute. But this was very long. But we have the premise here. And then what I would do is in chapter 2, what we would do is we'd come here to continue drafting. And so if we look here, this shows using the existing manuscript context, which is past 2 chapters, which we only have 1, that's fine. And the tag drafting, so we have those. Continue drafting the next chapter and preserve this. Now you could also ask it to come up with some ideas. So that's what we're going to do instead. So we're going to come back here. We're going to go back to all categories. So we're going to use the go prompt again. And we're going to say, can you come up with 3 ideas for the next 3 chapters, focusing on tension and forces of the characters. So we're just going to use that. I'm going to switch back to 4-1 fast. I'm going to hit here and I'm going to hit go, and then we're going to come back to, and so now we're going to have this come up with additional ideas if we didn't want, because in the quick start, it will just start going into the next one and chat. So I have to turn this stuff on. Now, also, we could just turn the blueprint on. So I'm actually going to do that just to cut out the middleman here. And then we're going to hit go, and this just shows the active documents that are currently turned on. So if you're ever wondering, do I have active documents hidden in a folder somewhere, this will tell you. And now if I go too fast and go, now it should actually give us the next chapter or ideas for the next chapters. There we go. So now we've got chapter 2, some ideas. Oh, and it's actually writing it even in the proper way. That's interesting, because we have the outline, so it knows what the chapter outlines are looking like. So it's actually trying to replicate that here. And to be fair, I didn't ask it to not plan those chapters. I just asked it for ideas. And so it's just going to go. So I'm going to stop and approve. So this is how you can get really quick ideas and really quickly just start drafting in Paging Poly. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we will be doing more in-depth videos on specific features coming soon. If you're ready to try Paging Poly for yourself, you can download that for free in the description down below. We will see you in the next one.